Welcome to Perspectives of Change show, where we are dedicated to exploring how to nudge change forward by understanding and valuing multiple perspectives. I'm your host, Sarika Kharbanda, and today we have yet again a very special upcoming podcast, which is a part of the special series where I'm interviewing lean change facilitators on their personal journey with change and with lean change in particular. And today I have with me on the show a very special lean change facilitator. And forgive me if I pronounce your name incorrectly, but here goes. I'm going to give it my best try. So we have on the show Jorge Ulsen.
Great.
Is that correct, Jorge?
Yeah, perfect.
Great. So maybe we'll start by you telling us where you're dialing in from.
Yeah, I am Jorge Ulsen from Chile. South America is a country which is at the end of the world. So I'm very happy to be here. And thank you so much for the invitation, Sarika.
It is lovely to have you here with us on the show. So thank you. In fact, I think it'll be great for our listeners to also, and viewers, of course, who watch the video cast. It would be great for everybody to know something more about you. Tell us something about yourself.
Good. Well, always when I made my introduction, I don't like to talk so much about the work. I prefer to talk about myself. So the most important to me is my family. I'm married. I have two lovely daughters, one 10 years and the another one 2.5 years. He is like a earthquake. And very lovely, so I love my three women. That is my most important part. I like a lot the coffee, the good coffee, because I like to go out, not just because of the flavor of the coffee, but also the conversation and all the environment that you can achieve when you go out with your family, with your friends, etc. And I like also write. My first title is as journalist. So currently I mix both words. I love work with people in HR stuff and communication. So that's why I usually write about those topics. So in that way I mix the two passions that I have.
That's pretty versatile. So I'm amazed that you are able to manage all of this. And indeed, family is precious, right? So most important, and great to hear that you have lovely women there. So yes.
Yeah.
Why? Great. Fantastic. So here's the other question now, just moving a little bit into your professional journey. Mm-hmm. When was the time where you had your first encounter with change in general? I mean, you've been on HR journeys. I know from your experience, having talked earlier to you, you've been on leadership journeys and whatnot. You know, you're pretty much in the whole space. So when did you first encounter change or meet change?
Yeah, well, I started to hear about change management first. In the initial of the 2000s, 2003 around, I was working in a public organization, in a government organization, and we started a crisis because a specific issue, and it was published for the medias with the authorities. And one of the most serious threat was that there were some versions that said that probably the organization will be closed. So it was a very panic environment for people, for the employees. And just in that moment, I started to hear about change management. I was in charge of communications area, and I started to work partner with HR. And both of us, we went to a first course. It was very, very initial. But we took some tools from there and used it into the organization to help to the rest of the people. And from that moment, it was like an insight. I think that communication is not enough. I have to work with other strategies, tools, or approaches. That is when I started to increasingly work with change management, and after that I left the organization years later and started to work more as consultant in different organizations here in Chile and other countries of Latin America. I was very lucky because I had the opportunity to work with companies as Walmart, Pfizer, so they were very large companies, and I have like all the work successes, but also failures, and in that way I have learned to get a different attitude, because first in the first times you always focus on, no, I didn't do it right, what was my mistake, I am very, I don't know, upset, etc., etc. But after that, after a lot of failures, I changed my mind and I try to take the learnings from those failures. From that way, I started to get better results, and now I still, sometimes you have some difficult or very hard issues, but with the experience you learn to focus it in a different way, etc. And with Link Change, I started to work, I think, in 2018, I think. I did the course as attendee, and it makes me a lot of sense, because in that moment I was working a lot with change management, and one of the challenge to me was, how can we try to be more flexible and be more better listeners. That I think that even people who work with change management, with traditional change management, sometimes they are more focused on tools, on strategies, on plans, but not they don't have necessarily a real skill to listen to the rest, to be real empathic with the people you are working, or with people who are being impacted for a change. So all those approaches, I don't know, right now the 5 universals and all those things, to me made completely sense. So I decided to become a facilitator to share it with the rest of the community, people, and organizations.
Indeed. Now, it is, of course, wonderful to have you as a facilitator with the Lean Change Management Association. And I loved what, and I'll just highlight a couple of things that you said, right? The key skill of listening, I think that's fantastic. And you mentioned, of course, even with traditional change management at the time when you encountered it, interesting aspects of, well, not just communicating, but listening, but also learning from failures. And it's not just about successes. So, well, yeah, that finds your, 25 and more years of experience now. So that's brilliant, right?
Yeah. Like I told you, my first studies was journalist. So I worked, I think, the first 2 years as journalist in some TV channels. And I didn't like it. It was a lot of work. You didn't have a specific time to work. You just know when you start and not when you finish. So practically you didn't have personal life. And I don't know, I think that my contribution could be much better from the organizations, into the organization. So right, for 25 or 26 years of experience, I think I have been 24 years working communication, human resources, and change management.
It's a lovely connect, right? Because change is also connected very deeply with communications. And of course, we talk about dialogues, and it's a two-sided communication vis-a-vis a one-sided one. So I think it's brilliant to come from that experience of being a journalist and then getting into these change journeys. And then
and I have the opportunity also to study other models of change management. Before Lean Change, I get a certification with ProSci, and I was working also in Deloitte Deloitte, they have at least 3 different methodologies from change management. They are focused on the type or kind of change for technology adoption, strategic change, and other things. So it's lean change is a life model that you can complement, adjust, flexible, etc. So I have took some other tools from the other models to complement it, and I think a very good experience for that. From that.
Really nice. So it definitely allowed lean change to, build on the model that you were looking for, which is more flexible. So,
yeah,
right.
Yeah. Actually, I don't believe right now in. I am not fan from any model or methodology. I am facilitator of lean change and also in other things with agile people. But I think that the most important is understand the real need of your client or your organization. And depending on that, you can say, okay, I think that in this case it works better, I don't know, a formal methodology or something more flexible or a mix of both. So I think that it's important to get that present.
Indeed. So here's the other thing. I also peeped into your LinkedIn profile, and I see that you're also an IC Agile facilitator with Lean Change, and that's on the coaching Agile transitions. Bit of IC Agile. So could you share some insights on that journey of yours?
Yeah, actually my main experience is with Lean Change. I am also facilitator of CIT, Coaching Agile Transitions with IC Agile. It's very interesting, the both certification with Lean Change Association and IC Agile, because with IC Agile you have to pass authorization session that sometimes is very demanding because they try to, I don't know, to evaluate your skills as facilitator, if you know or not about the topic, what is your real experience with this. So I think it's very interesting. Coaching Agile Transition, I think, is similar to Lean Change because it's coaching Agile Transitions with Lean Change, right? Yeah. But probably it's more focused on how the people can develop their skills as change agents, about their profiles, skills, practices, etc. So I think that both can be very good complemented to for one side understand completely the model of Lean Change, and then other coaching Agile transitions to understand better the organizations and your own skills to facilitate the process.
Indeed, indeed. So I'm sure we can continue talking for a very long time, Jorge. The conversation is just getting very interesting. But here's my last question to you right now for today. What is one key message that, from your Lean Change journey that you would like to leave our listeners and viewers with?
It's a very good question. I heard last year's a keyword that to me made a lot of sense, and I use it not just for Lean Change, I use it in general because I think that is very, very interesting. And I will tell you that in the next episode now. No. The word is ecocentric. To be more ecocentric than more than egocentric. And I think that is a very nice word because it means, in simple words, that you have to be aware about what do you want, what are your needs, what are your skills, what is your proposal, but it's equally important to understand your environment. What are the people who are you working with? What is the context? What is the culture? What is the leadership style, etc., etc. Even the external issues, political, economic, finance, etc., that can affect any process. So I think that is a very good concept to summarize what should be your focus as facilitator. in the rest of your environment, in your ecocentric perception. So I think that is, at least in my case, when I listen the word, I loved it. So I use it always.
It's a brilliant message. So I love the message already. So to our viewers and to our listeners, being ecocentric over being egocentric. So remember that. And with that, Jorge, I would like to thank you once again for being on the Perspectives of Change show. I'm so delighted to have you here on the show today. Thank you.
No, thank to you a lot. And I don't know if we will see you in another time.
For sure. We'll see you another time. And to all our listeners and viewers, thank you for listening in and continuing to listen in and viewing our podcast. We hope to see you on the next one. Continue to follow us on perspectivesofchange.com. And we are also on SoundCloud. So do listen to us via SoundCloud too. See you again. Until then,